ask that you hold him in your prayer today as we pray for the diocese, and then all of the parishes who are doing well, parishes who are struggling, and let us pray for the Diocese of Pennsylvania in unison together. Let us pray. O God, by your grace you have called us in the Diocese of Pennsylvania to be a goodly fellowship of faith. Bless our Bishop, Right Reverend Daniel G.P. Gutierrez, Pastor Mary Ann, and other clergy, and all our people. Grant that your word may be truly preached and truly heard, your sacraments faithfully administered and faithfully received. By your Spirit, fashion our lives according to the example of your Son, and grant that we may show the power of your love to all among whom we live, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And for this parish of St. Christopher's, Almighty and ever-living God, ruler of all things, prayers for the church family. Strengthen the faithful, arouse the careless, and restore the penitent. Grant us all things necessary for our common life, and bring us all to be of one heart and mind within your holy church. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And for this annual parish meeting, Almighty and ever-living God, source of all wisdom and understanding, be present with those who take part in this annual parish meeting for the renewal and mission of your church. Teach us in all things to seek first your honor and glory. Guide us to perceive what is right, and grant us both the courage to pursue it and the grace to accomplish it, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Okay, you will notice in the packet that we have record of who attended last year, and we have the parish minutes. In just a minute, I'm going to ask you to take just a perusal of those minutes, and we'll call them for approval. But right now, I would like to call this annual parish meeting on March 30th, 2025 to order. I don't have my gavel. It's at home. I'm going to use a spoon. This annual parish meeting is called to order. And Jesus likes it a lot. Okay. The first order of business is that we elect a meeting secretary. In times past, it has been Chad Wolf. Chad has done such a great job with keeping minutes, and before that, it was Mark Pepe. So, does anybody? Chad is not here today, and his term is up on the vestry, so he will be leaving the vestry this year. But so do we have a nominate? Michelle Straylaw has been a beautiful secretary for the vestry this year. So do we have any nominations for the secretary for this annual parish meeting?
I nominate Michelle Straylaw.
Okay. Any others? Okay, the nominations are closed. All in favor of Michelle being the secretary for this meeting? Any opposed? Michelle, you're the secretary. Please come forward. Thank you so much. She does great minutes. It's just a joy. You're just a joy. Michelle will be recording today. She does that for our minutes. She keeps great minutes that way. And she destroys the recording once she's finished recording the minutes and clarifying them. So does anybody have any problem with that? No objections? Okay. Okay, great. All right. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from last year. I know you've not had much time to look over them. Chad did a superb job, but if you can kind of take a look, at least at the highlights of those minutes, see if you see anything out of kilter. Yes. Oh, I did that every single time. It's Zach Slaughter that is the youth representative. Please make that correction. Z-A-C-H. Thank you, Mom. I called him Josh for the first 3 or 4 meetings that we had. So, he answered to all of it, So thank God for youth. It's Zach Slaughter, youth representative. And Zach has been doing a phenomenal job. He really has. So please change that. Any other corrections or comments or additions? Whenever anybody is ready to move to approve them, you may do that. Who did that? Alec? Okay, Lisa seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The meetings from last annual parish meeting are approved. Great. All right. The first order of business beyond the minutes are the election of vestry and the delegates to the diocesan, both to the deanery gatherings and also to diocesan conventions. You have a nominating committee report. Pat Curran is not here this week. She happens to be in Sedona, Arizona. It's one of my favorite places in the whole country. If you ever get to go there, make sure you take a trip to the Chapel of the Holy Cross. And the other person who is leaving our vestry this year is Chad Wolf, and he is also not here. He's with Caden today. So both Pat and Chad have done Caden's over there. He's with Courtney and Sydney. Well, what can I know? What do I know? So Kate, the Wolf family has just been an extraordinary family. Sandy served as rector's warden for a long time. She served her 6 years. Chad has served 3. And with his workload and the things that are taking place with having 3 teenagers, even as delightful and wonderful as they are, their schedules are, I can't even say their names correctly. So Chad has decided not to run for another 3-year term at this point in his life. He is not getting out of it forever, and he promised that he would be back. So Chad will be leaving. Pat has served six years, and that's the terms. You can serve 3 full-year terms, and Pat has done that. We snuck in our bylaws for Mary Clark's sake a 3rd 3-year term because I just wasn't going to give up on Mary, So we have that in our bylaws that if in desperate times, desperate times call for desperate measures. So I asked Pat if she wanted to have another 3-year term, and she said, no! And so we didn't force her into it. She wants a little time off. And so we're giving her a little time off. And in doing that, we have called some really pretty remarkable people. So I just want to say that. It's also time for Donna McClymans to go off. Okay, Donna has been serving a 2-year term of office. She filled in and took a 2-year term of office. Now, this is the way your rector thinks. You see, she served a 3-year term of office, and then I asked her, that's one full term. You can only have 2 full terms, right? So I asked her to serve then a 2-year term, which is not a full term, right? Okay? So she served a two-year term. And now she's got to go off. But she hasn't served 2 3-year terms. So Donna is running for her second 3-year term, okay? So she will be running for vestry again, and I'm so grateful. She's been a phenomenal member of the vestry and an outstanding rector's warden. So she is one of the people running for vestry this year. The other 2 people who are presenting themselves for vestry are Kyle Phillips. If you would please stand and turn and face the congregation. Kyle joined our parish on Easter Sunday last year. And it was a joyous day. He came with his husband, Angel. It was, they came in on this side, and they sat up here, and then I watched them, are they going to come back the next night? They did. They have, Kyle, you are such a blessing to this parish community. You really are. And we are so grateful that you are joining the vestry. You have a clarity of thought, and you've got new perspectives and new ways of looking at things. And he's not afraid to share his ideas, okay? So to have both a new perspective, a new way of looking at things, and an ability to clearly share those ideas is going to be a real blessing to the vestry. So I'm very, very grateful that you've offered yourself for service. And please read his bio. The medical service that he's engaged in, that's going to be a great blessing. I think Michelle's pretty happy about that. Yeah. So it's going to enrich our parish to the nth degree. The other person that it has offered herself for leadership is Terry Hines. So Terry, would you please stand? And Terry is another relatively new person to our parish. She has come with her husband, Bill McAvoy. Bill is sitting there next to her. And Bill retired on Friday, so we're going to get more work out of him. Yeah. And they are the ones that they came from they're the botanists that came from Maryland, and with the trees and the this and the that and the other things, and they're working with Deborah and Richard, and it's so fruitful and multiply. But Terry has also an incredible background and knowledge in faith. The conversations that I've had with her have been pretty deep with regard to faith, and she's got lots of questions, which is the very best thing for a rector. Rectors love questions when they're about faith and when they push beyond the boundaries. And she's handed me more books to read than next to Bud. I think, Bud, you've got to run for your money here now with Terry, I mean, it's just delightful. And the conversations that you'll have with Terry are exceedingly strong and faith-filled. In addition, she's also got a different kind of perspective that she'll bring to the vestry. So we are lucky. And in addition to the other people that we already have, I think we're going to have a phenomenal vestry. So these are the people that we have nominated for this year. are Kyle. He will be filling a one-year term. Donna, Terry, and then there's this little other person who, when he went off the vestry a year ago, I said, 1 year. You got 1 year, man. You got 1 year. You can be off the vestry 1 year, and then you're coming back on. And that is Steve Muscelli. Okay? And then I pressured him. Well, yeah, I pressured him all through the year. You got 6 months. You got 4 months. You got 3 months. And then when he got down to it, I said, Steve, now really you don't have to. He said, well, what do you want? And I said, I want you to be on the vestry. He said, okay, I will. And so Steve has given his life for 3 years. He's volunteered to be on the vestry again, and Steve, we're really grateful. Steve is a grounding force on the vestry. So Donna McClymans, Steve Muscelli, and Terry Hines for a 3-year term, and Kyle is filling 1-year term. That is Ellen's 1-year term. So those are the vestry candidates for this coming year. So anybody have any motions about these vestry members? Do you have any additional people that you want to add? No? I don't hear any additional people added. So I want to know, would you like, huh?
I make a motion to accept the nominees.
By acclamation? By acclamation. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. You guys come sit up here. Yay! We've already had one meeting, and Zach Slaughter is our youth representative. So he is here for forever. We love Zach, okay? The other, Donna McClymans, we've already had one meeting. To tell you the truth, we figured you'd hopefully say okay. And Donna McClymans is our rector's warden. I've come to really rely on Donna. She's a steady-minded person. She keeps me, put it this way, she keeps me straight. And when I'm going off, she's the one that pulls me back down to the ground. So I'm very grateful for Donna. The other thing that she's able to do is, there was a person that was writing me emails, and I was trying to answer. And Donna wrote an email that said, please stop. And the email stopped. And I'm going, what kind of power do you have, woman? But, you know, her leadership, the gentleness with which she leads, when she speaks, all of a sudden things happen. And so I'm very grateful. The vestry also voted at the last meeting to select Steve Muscelli as the deputy warden. He had served in that capacity before. And they elected Michelle as the secretary of the vestry, and Mary Clark, surprise, is our treasurer. She's the treasurer for the vestry, but she's also treasurer for the parish, and she's also the parish administrator and the head of the finance committee. So you have any finance issues, talk to Mary. So Mary, please come sit down. Andrea Slavinsky and Michelle Straylaw and Kyle Phillips are in this class of 2026. Mary Clark, Chris Anderson, and Nikki Powells, and Zach Slaughter are in the class of 2027. Please come sit down. Nikki Powells has done miraculous work with regard to Facebook and to the website. She has transformed our presence in the community. I just want to say how grateful. All of those photographs over there, all those photographs, a lot of them come from Nikki and from Facebook. And Kyle Phillips is the one that got them on the slideshow. So we're just really blessed. Donna McClymans, Steve Muscelli, and Terry Huns have their term expires in 2028. Okay? Any questions? Look at what a sterling group of people you have nominated and elected. Now, the way the Episcopal Church works is we have lots of committees that can make decisions about things and can, with the committees, one thing that you need to know is the way our bylaws work is that the only two committees that are really needed are finance and property. Am I right about that, Mary? Yeah, finance and property. And then all the other committees can be added in as they're needed, and we need a lot of them, okay? So our new project committee, that's a really important committee. It's functioning beautifully under David's leadership. We don't really have a worship committee, but we have the choir and a lot of people that work in worship doing that kind of leadership. We have outreach committee. And under Andrea's leadership with Lighthouse and Reba working with the shoe boxes, and we have a lot of people doing lots of different parts of the outreach committee. We have, so you'll see, stewardship committee. How many people are going to volunteer this year to be on the stewardship committee? Rowena, Sandy, Mary. Rowena, Sandy, and Mary have been serving on the stewardship committee for 3,000 years. How many other people are going to volunteer to be on the stewardship committee this year?
We could use some new ideas and new energy.
What we find on the stewardship committee is what happens is when you get on the stewardship committee, you start to pull your hair out a little bit, and then you realize just what it takes to run the parish financially. And then you try to figure out how can we be creative in getting the congregation to understand what's needed. And then you figure out there isn't anything new under the sun. And so, but if we have people invested in the stewardship committee, it's amazing how things get better. And nobody wants to serve on this steward. You'll serve? Lisa will serve on the stewardship committee. Thank you, Lisa. It's a really important group of people. We don't meet very often. It's not an onerous, from that standpoint, it's really not that bad. But we really need people with ideas and people who are committed to the life of this community, to helping it grow. Okay, it's not all about money. Mostly it's about mission. Mostly it's about that mission statement. So if you didn't volunteer today, I thank you, Lisa, for volunteering today. Alec? Okay, we got 2. Great, thank you very, very much. Because that stewardship committee is important for the life of this parish. Thank you. The other committees are outreach, and outreach usually goes gangbusters, okay? Because we've got so many different pieces of it. We have Christian formation. Sandy, you're doing a phenomenal job in leadership of that group. And the parents that teach in that group are amazing. You're doing phenomenal work. Those children, when you look at those slides, I want you to see their smiles, okay? And we're changing curriculum this year so that they'll have more resources. Lisa has it right there, so you can take a look at it. No? I'll let you speak about it in a little bit. But the committee structures, the way that they work is that I appoint people to the committees. So you raised your hand, I just appointed you. You raised your hand, I just appointed you. But now we have to come back to the vestry, and the vestry has to approve you. Okay? So when the project committee was formed, David said, how about this? How about this? I appointed David as the chair. And then David said, how about this person? How about this person? How about this? I appointed all those people. And then we came back to the vestry, and they approved everybody. So everything that committees do end up sitting at the vestry's table. Everything has to be approved by the vestry, or it doesn't happen. Okay? So committees can decide things that are going to happen, but it doesn't get fully decided until the vestry approves it. And I just want you to know that. The reason being is that we are an Episcopal church. We're not a congregational church. The congregation itself doesn't decide. Okay? The way you decided is the way you just did, because you elected these folks. Okay? So, if you have questions or concerns or problems or issues or ideas or whatever, these are the folks that represent you. Okay? I represent you. If you have a problem and it's directly with me, you come, please. I've only asked this about 13 years. Please come directly to me, because I can't fix it if you're not brave enough to come talk to me. Okay? I promise I won't bite your head off. I might get my feelings hurt, and I probably will cry. But I won't get mad at you, okay? And that's the only way we can work things through, is if we talk together. And there have been few people that we've talked through things, and we've gotten stronger relationships because of it. You can always go to these people here. You can always talk to the people that are heads of committees. And I want you to know that heads of committees and people that you talk to on the vestry will generally bring things back to the vestry or to the committees so that we can talk it through. So if you say something to somebody, generally it's going to come back to me anyway, so why don't you just come back to me and talk? Okay? Because we can't operate in a parish family if we're not being truthful with each other. Okay? Things can't be done in silence. I'll just tell you a story. When I first got here, should I tell it? Should I? Go for it. When I first got here, vestry met. It was funny. And vestry, maybe it wasn't so funny. The vestry met. Convoluted meetings. I never really understood them. We'd come to the meetings, and it was sort of like everything was already decided. I couldn't figure out how everything was already decided because we hadn't really talked about it. And then we'd leave, and then next meeting, we'd come back and we'd talk, and it was like everything had already been pre-talked about. And I hadn't participated in any pre-talking, and I couldn't figure out how things had been pre-talked about. But then they were pre-talked about. So, okay, I guess that's how they work here. And so then they go away, and then we come back, and they'd been pre-talked about. Everything had already been decided. I couldn't figure out how everything had already been decided. It was really weird. You know, I couldn't figure it out. Then one night, after a vestry meeting, one person said, hey, we're going over to Mary's house, and we're going to have some drinks. You want to come with us? I said, sure, I'll go over to Mary's house with you. Yeah, sure. And they forgot that I wasn't part of the group that did the pre-deciding. They invited me into the pre-decision making. I wasn't supposed to be invited into the pre-decision making. I was the rector. And now it was the way things happened. Things were kept under the table. And it was bad. It was really a dysfunctional kind of way of being. And that's all gone. We don't have any of that anymore. The vestry functions with everything out on the table. And the congregation, you know what you all do? You are the healthiest congregation in this whole diocese. Okay? I want you to stand up and applaud for yourself. You are the healthiest congregation in this whole diocese. That first vestry had some really great leaders. They really did. And once we got all of that, stuff figured out, that parish took off. It was wonderful. And that's what we've got right here. You've got people committed right here to doing the very best job. And these are the people you've elected to make the decisions on your behalf. So make sure that you're talking to them. You're talking to me. You're talking to each other. Any questions? Any comments? Anything positive or negative that you want to say? Now's your chance. Oh, come on, somebody get me off the hook. Y'all okay?
It's far more welcoming now than it was back then. It was very intimidating back then.
Okay. Okay. I think this parish, I really do. And I talked to Bishop Gutierrez the other day, and he thinks it's a really healthy parish. I think this is one of the healthiest parishes I've ever encountered. And the people who were here then, a lot of you are still here, and you are making it flourish. I can't tell you how thrilled I am with the work that you're doing. Sandy?
I think for me right now, it's like there's a lot happening here, amazing things. And I think this group of people is just remarkable. What's coming up in this next year or two or three? Just so I'm delighted to look at that group of people and know that I think we're in good, like it's a solid group and we're in good hands to face what's to come, because there's a lot of work to be done.
Right.
So.
And there's going to be a lot of change, and change is never received very easily, necessarily. And so to know that you have chosen so well means, to me, translates that you understand, and are on board. I'm absolutely blown away with the quality of this parish. You're amazing. Okay. I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. Anything else? Okay. The next thing is you'll see that there are convention delegates. I penciled in Mary Clark, Donna McClymans, and Deborah Allen. Deborah didn't get to go last year, so I put you in there, Deborah, as a convention delegate. The convention's held in the fall down at the cathedral or down at St. John's, one of the two. And we need two alternates, two people. If Mary or Donna or Deborah can't go, that we need two other people. So is there anybody else that would like to put their, okay, Keith? Anybody else? And Alec? Who else? And Terry? Okay. So we'll have 3 names in there, and then so we'll have enough people to call upon. So Keith, Alec, and Terry. Okay. I want you to. I only put the vestry training there is because I want you to realize that these vestry members do go through training to be members of the vestry. Anybody who is working with children needs to participate in safe church training. So that means vestry members, any people working with our youth. If by chance you're working with any of our youth, so that means like Zach, you need to go through safe church. Zach is doing a youth group, and we'll let him talk about that in a little bit. And so, you know, those diocesan structures that are put in place, I want you to know we're accessing them. Any questions? Okay. All righty. Ken, did you do the thingies that I asked? No. Yes, thank you. Those thingies. Okay, the rector's report. I just need to confess to you that I had a horrendous time writing the rector's report. The reason we had to cancel last month was because I just couldn't get it together to write the rector's report. There was so much that happened last year. Good things, all good things, but I couldn't figure out what happened. And I couldn't get it into any kind of order. So I'm giving you, and I told David that I was going to be short. Well, 10 pages is about as short as I can be, David. I'm sorry, you know. And then I found out when I got to the end, 12 pages? It's 12 pages. Well, when I got to the end of it, I left one thing out. And so I did an addendum, and I'll send it to you by email. But so, well, whatever. So basically what I tried to do was go through some of the things that kind of pulled out, that were highlighted to me, that I kind of wanted to make sure that you knew about. The first thing that I wanted you to know is that one of the things I want you to know is I pray for you every day. That quote, I've heard of your faith in the Lord Jesus and your love towards all the saints. I consider every single one of you a saint, just like St. Paul did. And don't throw that back at me. Don't say, oh, I'm not a saint. I'm not a saint. Accept that, because you are saints. And for this reason, I do not cease to give thanks for you as I remember you in my prayers. Just know that I give thanks every day, and I pray for you every day. And I ask that you pray for me and that you pray for each other. That was the first reading. That was on the first Sunday that I was here. That was one of the readings. And I've included it in every single rector's report that I've submitted to you. This year, one of the successes, I think, and I mentioned it a little bit ago, I think we've become better known in the community for several reasons. And I want to highlight those reasons to you. Because we're working on a major project for the parish to move forward into the future. And it would not be happening were little things, and I don't mean little in an insignificant way, but without some really important pieces happening. Richard Donham has been taking some photographs, you know, like you came and did the Santa Claus, and you did the bluebirds, and you did some of those things. Trish takes photographs, Mary takes photographs. There's a lot of people that are involved in photograph taking, and I hope everybody takes photographs when you see something happening. And when you do, send them to Nikki, because she's the photograph consolidator. David takes phenomenal photographs during the liturgy, particularly. You take them on the ground. There's one picture in that slideshow of David standing down at the hill, watching the hill be ripped down. The photographs that we are taking and that Nikki is posting on Facebook is getting St. Christopher known in the community. People are beginning to see who we are, see what our grounds look like. They're not passing us by as readily. They're beginning to know where we are and what we look like. And so I want to thank you, Nikki, and thank everybody that's making that happen. Because if we're going to do a major project, that's one of the pieces that really has to take place. We need to be known. The things that you're willing to share, I'm not saying join Facebook, I'm not saying take part in that, but the things that you share, the events that we have that you share, are making a difference. People are beginning to know that, like the cookie walk, you'll see that we made over $3,000 for that cookie walk. That didn't happen by accident. We've never made that much money. We had a bazaar connected to that. That made almost $500. We've never had that. Okay? Things are happening here because of what you are doing and what individuals are doing, and then what we're doing collectively. So what I want to say is our visibility is increasing. What happened with that fire, having those families come through our basement over and over and over and see that we were here, that made a huge difference. And then they came back at Thanksgiving time and had a meal downstairs. Having Silo over in the garage with that Silo truck sitting out there, seeing us connected to Silo, knowing what a reputation Silo has in this community, and knowing it's connected to hers, and seeing that we're a part of that, it's making a big difference in how people are looking at St. Christopher's. They're beginning to notice that we exist, okay? And so anything that you can do to promote who we are and to share our identity is going to make all the difference in the world as we move forward. Okay? And I want to commend you for that. Any comments about that? Any comments? You know, what you do, Sandy, when you make those flyers at your work, you know, the fact that we have yard signs to go in the ground. Those kinds of things are really making, they look like behind the scenes things that don't make a difference, but they are making a huge difference. And I want us to continue to do that, okay? The other thing that I want to call your attention to is our worship. Did you hear yourselves today when you were singing?
Could we hear ourselves?
Could you hear yourselves?
Yeah,
What'd you think?
I think we're pretty doggone good. And everybody engages in it. And I think it's uplifting. I think everybody enjoys it. It's a huge part of our worship service, I think.
Right. The way you participate in worship, when I first came, I said, worship is going to be the center of our life together, didn't I? That's what I said. Bud, is that what I said? Bud was on the search committee. And it's going to be out of worship that everything that we do is going to flow. And when I heard you sing today, I almost cried. I really did. Because we have good acoustics in here, yeah. But you took the roof and lifted it up with the sound of your voices. I want you to pay attention to that. Because it's the worship that we do in here that is going to propel us into the outside. That's going to make it possible for us to be kind and to do the work that we're given on the outside to do. It's the worship first. And you are phenomenal. The way you pray together is just extraordinary. I don't know another congregation that prays the way you do. And so a big part of my report deals with the way you worship. Another part of my report deals with Christian formation. You're going to see a lot of photographs of these little children. You know, asking to be part of the cross bearers and do you see their faces when they bring those gifts forward? Do you see your faces when they bring the gifts forward? Do you see David's face when he pulls them forward? It's those liturgical ministries that they're involved in that shape them as Christians, and they'll never forget. It's what they're learning downstairs with teachers who really, truly love them. Okay? They might be able to get Christian education taught to them someplace else, or they might be able to get some kind of activities being done with them, but they aren't going to be able to get the love that they have here anywhere else. Whether it's coming from me or it's coming from Sandy or it's coming from the teachers, okay? They don't get that elsewhere. Or it's coming from the ushers, when David is sending them down or bringing them up or, letting them go forward, teaching them what to do. They're not getting that elsewhere. And so just know what you're doing in Christian formation with our children. It's the whole parish being involved. Now I'll let you talk.
That's you, Lisa. Oh, me. I just wanted to say I was just so happy. Today's the first day that we stayed, and I was just really happy. It was easy. The kids, I think, liked it. And the grade level was good. I think it was for everyone. Each week they get a little lesson flyer to go with it. So whatever you don't do in class, you do at home. That's all. I just wanted to say I appreciate it and thank you.
Good.
That's all I wanted to say.
We're trying to improve as we go along, and so if you see things that are not happening that need to be taking place, make those suggestions, to Sandy, to me, to Lisa, to Michelle, to the teachers that are teaching down there, okay? Christian formation, I think, is superb. I just really want to thank you for that. The other thing that I want to say is that when I came, taking care of the sick and pastoral care has always been a high place, a high part in my ministry. And I have to tell you, I apologize to you. Because since Andrew died, I haven't been able to do it so well. Sorry. I'm really sorry. What I learned this year was really helpful. Richard Carlin taught me something. Richard Carlin, when he wanted me to bring communion or to come anoint him, he called me on the telephone. And he said, Pastor Marianne, I want to be anointed and I want communion. Would you come do that? And I'd say yes. And we'd mark a time down and I'd go down and I'd anoint him and I'd take communion to him. I could do that. But when I was sitting at home and I have to think about getting dressed, getting in the car, what it takes to go visit somebody who's sick, particularly if they're dying, and what it reminds me of related to Andrew is almost more than I can do. I can do it. If somebody calls and says, come, will you do it? Then I can do it. But I can't It's almost more than I can handle on my own. So I'm going to confess to you, I haven't felt like I've done a good job. And I am very sorry, because it's the number, I have railed against priests who don't go visit their sick parishioners my whole life. And then I'm finding myself in that place where I don't feel like I'm doing a good job. So what I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask for your help. Will you help me? Please, will you help me? I'm going to ask you, please stop this nonsense of saying, well, we don't want to call you because we know you got a lot on your plate and we don't want to bother you. Don't take that. Don't predetermine what I can do. If you call me and I can't do it, I'll tell you I can't. It would be exceedingly helpful to me if you need me to come visit you, or you need me to bring you communion, or you have a friend that you need me to take communion to, or I haven't been to visit somebody in a long time, and you know that they want me to come. For heaven's sake, please give me a call and alert me of that, and I can then do what I need to do. That would be so helpful to me. It would be doing me such a favor, and then I can stop feeling guilty about it. Okay? Because it's really bothering me. Okay? Will you consider doing that for me? Okay? I need your help. I really do. I can't do it without you. Made mistakes in the past where I didn't respond soon enough to somebody who needed me. And I've made mistakes in this past year when I didn't respond soon enough to somebody who needed me. And it hurt them, and I didn't intend to hurt them. And then, then what do I do? Intention, okay? I'm human, and I'll make mistakes. So does that make sense? Okay, all right. All right, that's in there somewhere. The other thing I did put to chart, I just have great gratitude allowing me to take that sabbatical. Ken and I had a great, and chart was, it was perfect in my sermon. But read what I have here. To go walk that labyrinth, please do. Please take it. And the labyrinths that we're going to be doing here downstairs, both the canvas labyrinth and then the one we'll be doing outside, are just incredible. They'll do the same. They'll have the same kind of energy. Okay.
Where is it? No, it just needs new batteries.
So. Okay. Does anybody want to say anything about those pieces? Okay. Then the last thing I want to talk about is the project. Oh, first, before I say that, make sure that you take a little break and look and see if you find any things under your chairs, in your chairs, around your chairs. You might find Jesus around you. You have any Jesuses around you anywhere? You see a Jesus? You want to take a Jesus home with you? Want a Jesus? You can, if you need to move, you can get up and move while I move.
I found a Jesus. Anybody else find a Jesus?
You want those up now?
Yeah.
And I'll put the other ones on the table.
Okay. How many people how many people have been here the whole time that we've talked about this project? Okay, so you feel pretty grounded in the project. How many people are relatively new to coming in? You've heard us mention the project, but you're not really clear about what the project is about. Everybody feels like you're 100% on board and you have a clear understanding of it. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. One of the things, the way this came about, I want you to think of the parish. I came here in 2011. The goal of the parish in 2011 was to hire a rector, okay? They accomplished that. They got me. They said, we want somebody who will make changes. They got that, okay? They didn't know exactly what they wanted, but they got that anyway, okay? We made the changes that they didn't want, but they ended up being happy about that, right? The next thing took about 5 years, and then we realized that there were people here who needed to be able to hear. They needed to be able to walk. They needed to be able to have events. They needed to have some things altered. And so we began looking into putting an acoustical loop underneath the floor. When we did that, we pulled up the carpet, and the carpet was glued to the hardwood floor, which meant we had to take the carpet up, and then the hardwood floor came up, everything up. So lo and behold, we did the whole renovation, okay? Some people were happy, some people were not. Some people left, some people came, okay? But in 2016, the church was renovated, all right? That was the second stage, all right? It took about 3 years for us to live into the renovation, to get settled, okay? It always takes 3 years for renovations for people to go, we like it. Oh, I like sitting and looking across the way. Oh, I like the altar in the center. Oh, I like that you used part of the altar rail. Oh, I like this altar here, okay? And so people began to get settled, and people started coming. New people started coming. So that was the second phase. Then I started noticing that people were getting too settled. They liked it. Everybody liked it. They wanted to, and not to ministry, okay? Didn't want to add in anything extra. Didn't want to respond to community needs. And so I said, okay, I'm out of here. Because I promised that I wasn't going to be a maintainer. So that was where the third phase came in. How are we going to sustain and create this parish vitality into the next future? Okay? And that's how the project came about. Okay? We started talking about labyrinths. We started talking about columbariums. We started talking about a new addition. Bud's been talking about that for 1,000 years. We started talking about new gathering spaces. We started talking about how we could use this. We've used this space as concert area. We've used it for blood drives. How many units did you have, Michelle?
Oh, we had, our highest was like 33.
33 units of blood. So we had a poverty simulation. We had over 100 people. You couldn't even walk in here. We're beginning to outgrow this space, and we're using it. It's losing its central purpose for worship. You know, we're having to move these chairs all the time. It takes a lot of energy to do it. So we're finding we're needing more space. And I want to be buried here. We need a columbarium out there. You know, we got asked by the borough to do the lawn to meadow. So we're having all of these different places. And we see that church house sitting over there empty, except for Mary using it as an office once or twice, you know, a day. And then it sits there empty for the rest of the time. How are we going to utilize our space? And we have our bishop saying, you need to monetize your buildings so that they're paying you money that's going to keep your parish alive. So we began talking about the ways to be able to do that. How can we create an opportunity that we can use our buildings, use our spaces for ourselves, but also to enrich the life of the community? And the property committee, which consists of David as the chair, if David hadn't come along and latched on to what I had been thinking in my head for about 3, 4, 5 years, if he hadn't come along and been able to put it on paper, we would be spinning our wheels in the mud. Okay? But David was able to take it to feel like they belong here, where they can feel safe, where we can have all types of groups. We already have AA. We could have LGBTQ groups that already exist in the region. They could come here and use our space. We could have the AA groups already use parts of our building. How can we open this place up to be a place of spirituality? Because the evangelical churches around here are certainly not going to open their doors. Even down at the Presbyterian church, I was with a group on Monday. They said they have to walk a very fine line because they're not able, the pastor's not able to open their doors for the LGBTQ community. They can't use the kitchen for that group. Okay, they have to walk that kind of fine line, even though they're supportive. Okay, so how St. Christopher's, the Episcopal Church, is open as a denomination to all kinds of people. So how can St. Christopher's be that kind of open and inviting place? Okay, how can we do that? And we've been talking about how we can structure the space, how we can make it open and inviting. And this year, we've gotten it tighter and in a better place, okay? And I want to be able to share with you where we are with that. David has done some of that with you, and I want to share other things. First of all, the committee developed a scope of work. So we laid out all the different parts of the project. So what are they? They're a new addition. We called it for a long time a spirituality center. Then we called it a gathering space. Then we called it something else. Then we called it something else. Then we finally we're just now calling it a new addition because we don't know what to call it. Okay? And if we keep it generic, maybe one day we'll figure out what to call it. Because we wanted to have two parts. A part for us that we can come in the door and stop falling out that door. Okay? And we can sit out there and we can talk before the service starts. And we can have coffee hour out there. And we can have meetings out there and gathering, and we can play out there, and we can do whatever. So it's for us. But it's also for the community for their time. Okay, so they could have meetings out there. And if community groups have time out there, we could maybe rent it. Okay? So it could potentially be a space that we could monetize. Okay? That's number one. Second thing is, if we come in here, I have to tell you that I have to jump ahead of myself. I met with the bishop, and I talked to him about this little piece. I told him, well, right outside the door, we're going to have a baptismal font. I said, now, Bishop, it's going to be a baptismal pool. Okay, we're going to immerse people in the baptismal pool. He said, oh, so your girl Catholic roots are coming out, huh? I said, yeah. Yeah, the Catholic Marianne is coming back, you know. So he said, okay, well, you can have your baptismal font. I said, okay, all right, Bishop, let me have my baptismal font. I just need the Catholic baptismal font. So we're talking about doing a baptismal font out here. It would be for immersion for adults, but more importantly, it's that upper pool that would provide a water sound, okay? You can still dip your hands in it just like you can here, and it'll be water sound so that you can hear the sound of baptism when you come in. Do you know this? Do you like the sound of water? Okay, how soothing it is. And so we can reconnect with our baptism, and it would be right outside at the entrance. So you come in the space over there, and you come down this hallway, and it'd be kind of right outside that door. Okay, that's part two. Part three is right beyond that place where the baptistry would be enclosed. Can't go out this door anymore and go straight across the parking lot. Sorry about that. No door here, okay? Door's over there. Then right out there is the labyrinth, okay? Now you're walking this labyrinth. You're getting a sense of how enriching it can be spiritually. But people walking off the street can walk it. People with no faith can walk it. People who need just quiet time can walk it. People, and I really believe that when we have it, we're going to begin to attract people to it. And the reason I believe that is I went to Chartres. I know what that Chartres labyrinth does. I know the energy it creates. I know the life it brings. And I know that when we have one there, and the beauty of it, and all this landscaping that Bill McAvoy and Richard Donham and Deb, I know that greenery and life, it's going to bring people here. Okay? The labyrinth is a piece of it. The columbarium. I want to be buried here. Please let me be buried here. Please. I don't want to be buried in Kentucky. Don't put me in a hole in Kentucky, please. So if we have the columbarium here, it gives us an opportunity for us who have worshiped together and shared our lives together to have a place together, to have families together. Okay? And the niches in the columbarium, they're beautiful. David and Andrea have been working on the columbarium. They are beautiful. They're dignified. They're holy. They will give us a place where we can be together after our deaths. Okay? They'll have a place for an urn or two or three. The niche sizes will accommodate your family size. Okay? And David has been working really hard to work with the arrangement of those. Okay? We haven't finalized exactly what the colors and all of those things are going to be, but they're going to be to accommodate us. And we can build a circular or octagonal one at first, and we can build then round like more like ground ones that will go around it later. We can add to it as we need to, and then whatever we determine the cost is going to be, you know, it's going to help us pay for the labyrinth. The labyrinth is not going to necessarily come out of, you know, people's pockets that you're going to pay forever and forever and forever. And however many niches that we have, there'll be some excess money. Do you see? It will help our parish be financially sound. We'll be able to buy another columbarium, or we'll be able to fund some of the parish expenses that we can't cover right now. It'll be a way to monetize some of the things that we're currently doing. Okay? It will help our parish stay solvent. All right? And in the center of the columbarium, there will be an ossuary that will allow people that don't have money to buy one of the niches, to have a fancy urn and a this and a that and something else, to be also buried there, to have a nameplate, to be buried with dignity, and to be remembered on our grounds the same way as other people are. Can you imagine a homeless person being able to be remembered with dignity? Andrea called me last week. He said, we've got a person who nobody will claim their body. It costs $4,500 to claim their body. They can't get that person cremated. We don't know what we're going to do. There's no place to bury that person. I said, well, I'll do the service for nothing if you can get the body out of the morgue. And then there's no place to bury them. And there's no one to pay for the cremation. And we can provide for some of those things. And that's what the columbarium is going to do. That's what it's going to do. And that person right there, David, has been working really hard to make sure that happens. That's a piece of it. And then the lawn to meadow, we went down to a board meeting. David and I are sitting there, and they say, well, would you be interested in doing a lawn to meadow for the Chesapeake Bay? And we said, sure. We didn't know what the heck we were talking about. I mean, we really didn't. And then we find out about it. The Chesapeake Bay people come and they say, well, we want to, you know, encumber your land for 25 years. The bishop's off, the person from the property part of the bishop went, no, you can't do that. And then we stopped for a while and we said, well, no, we can't do that. And then another church said, well, we're going to do it. And so then I called the bishop and I said, well, Bishop, I'm embarrassed because the other church is going to do it. Now we can't do it. I promised the borough we were going to do it, and the church is going to do it, and we can't do it, and I'm embarrassed. And the bishop said, how much money does it cost? And I told him how much money it cost. He said, here. And he gave us the money. And so here they come with the diggers and the holes and the punching and the this and that and then the killing off and the do. And we've got the lawn to meadow through the grace of the Bishop of the Diocese of Pennsylvania. Okay? Doesn't hurt to ask. Doesn't hurt to ask. And it's going to benefit the waters of the Chesapeake Bay. This is going to last for hundreds of years. The Lenape Indians were part of this ground. It's going to heal the ground that we took over from the Lenape Indians. It's going to move all the way through the Susquehanna into the Chesapeake. We're going to be part of that. We're going to be part of that. It's already happening. And then Lynn Lentz's grandson, Lynn Lentz's son came and said, well, my son is here and Lynn is here and we're going to do this. And you know, oh, by the way, Sean needs a Eagle Scout project. And I said, well, if he wants to do one here. And then they come up with the bluebird boxes, the bluebird. So look out there with the bluebird. Eagle Scout project. Okay? You see, it's magnifying. And then people say, well, we can't do anything unless we renovate that house over there. Because that was one of the things the bishops recommended, that we monetize the house. Well, when David called the whole community together, he said, we got to get the community in here to find out what the community needs. The community said, we need housing. We need housing. Okay? Some people in that, the people who came, had never sat in a room together at all. And they came in and they started talking to each other. And they said, we need housing for people. That was about 3 or 4 weeks before the fire happened. Had we not had them here, they would not have been connected together to be able to act as quickly and as connectedly as they did for those fire victims. You see what's happening here? And then we got connected with, who was it, David? Good Samaritan. We got connected with Good Samaritan, who thought that maybe they could operate the house for us. And it fell through because they're already working in Coatesville and Kennett. And then we met Senator Comita's chief of staff, and he said, well, let me introduce you to Good Samaritan and Joyce Chester. To Friends Association and Joyce Chester. She said, yeah, we would love to operate that house. Let us come out and see it. They fell in love with our house. We've got our architect, Ed Ramey. Ted Mondaluski is our consultant. He's a relative of David's. He's been working with us to help us find architects. We've chosen our architect, Ed Ramey. He's wonderful. He helped us design the architectural drawings for the church house. We've got a 2-family dwelling, upstairs and downstairs. 2 families who don't have housing can live in that space over there. 2 families that are on their way to having their new home can live over there. And in addition to that, they can have an office space. And in addition to that, we can keep Silo in the garage. By the way, at the beginning of the year, we allowed Silo to come in and take over the garage and take food out every week to deliver to the neighbors. And Silo can stay there, and they can have an office, and they can have new restrooms. And both groups can work together. And on top of it, both Silo and the Friends Association will pay us rent for the use of the space. They will operate it, we will get rent, and will help keep this parish alive. Do you see what's happening here? That's what this project is about. And finally, when we started putting all of this stuff together, the one thing that we said was, the one thing the parish has consistently asked for is a lift. They need a lift. And so that's the one thing that we said, the first thing that's got to be done is we got to put in a lift. Now I'm going to sit down for this. No, standing. We got a PCCD grant. No, I just want to sit down. We got a grant for 100. Mary and I didn't know what the heck we were doing. Did we, Mary? We applied for a grant. It was a Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. We were told by Senator Comita to apply for it. So we did. We didn't know what we were doing. I was sick with the flu. I told Mary, write this, and she wrote it, and then she submitted it. I didn't know what the heck we were doing. We had 1 day to submit it. We did it. And then they came back and they gave us $150,000. And then they said, you have to match it with $75,000. I said, Mary, can we match it? And she said, oh, sure. Yeah, she said. I said, okay. And so, all right. So, oh, sure. So we got the grant. We got the $150,000 plus 75. So we have $225,000 to provide security for this building. And the way I wrote it was, we're going to build a vestibule. That gets us our new building, right? It's a vestibule. And I said, it's going to keep people from coming in and shooting David and me. That's what I said. And so they bought it. And so we had the grant. We didn't know what to do with it. And so we were going to pay for architects, and we were going to, so finally we decided that we had to replace windows and doors and things like that. Finally we decided we could put in a lift and make it count for security. They said no. Then I wrote them back and I said, but we're replacing these two windows. Windows count, right? We could replace those with the lift. That would work, wouldn't it? And they said no. And I wrote them again, and I said, but it would give us a secure entrance into the church. It would replace these two windows, and surely that would be security. And they said, quit bothering us, okay, all right? And they let us use, the money for the lift, all right? So then we got down to, good old Ed. He put the lift there, and he fixed all the framing up there, and he made it look so beautiful. And then we found out the other day that the lift itself and installation is going to cost $80,000, and to fill in all those window wells and things is going to cost more than that. So we don't quite have enough, okay? But guess what? We can redesign some of it, and guess what? We can $30,000 from the matching funds are going to come from the bishop. Isn't Bishop Gutierrez wonderful? And guess what? Some of the matching money has already been donated by one of our parishioners. $20,000 of it. Isn't that wonderful? And guess what? Another parishioner has said, well, if you keep going in that direction, I might donate $10,000. And guess what? If that happens, then that means we only have $25,000 in matching funds to donate. And guess what? If we can get the construction things curved down and maybe not do all of the window wells and maybe not do all of the things, we're going to be within the range of what we're going to be able to do, and we're going to have a lift. And guess what? Wouldn't that be wonderful this time next year to have a conveyance to move from this floor to downstairs? What do you think? Out there, what do you think?
I think that's incredible that the size parish that we have, I think it's incredible, the work that you all do. We see it on Thursday nights. I've been part of that. These are incredible. The work that you're doing is making a difference in our lives, everyone's lives, and I think that it shows by being rewarded. I believe the parish is being rewarded for good worship ministry and a path forward. I really do. It's a very loving, peaceful place. How can it happen like this?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
By next year, that's projection?
Yes. The PCCD grant has to be spent by April of 2026. So the lift portion of the project, this portion right here, has to be completed by April of 2026. So probably what will have, this part will probably not happen. We will fix this broken window well down below. We will have this lift. It'll go right there next to these, with these two windows, right next to this short wall, okay? And it will come, the lift we'll have access into the church this way and access outside, okay?
Pastor Marianne,
Yes.
it's over here.
Oh, it's over here. Okay, okay. Thanks, David, because I don't know where it is. Okay, so, but it'll be somewhere.
But-
David knows.
My question is, impacts to worship during that time, construction?
Impacts to worship. I think we'll still have access here. And from what they've said, minimal. Okay? Because we'll still be able to get into here. And the construction is basically going to be on this side. Okay? Go ahead.
We have not spoken to Ken for the people that will provide the lift, but with it being here and going down, and if you look at Ed's drawing, the lift itself is in the addition space out there. It's not in here. So when I say minimal, at least by my way of thinking, they do all the work they have to do, and the last thing they do is knock the wall out to connect. Now, I don't know if that's feasible, but certainly that would be our desire to minimize impact on the worship service.
And eventually, this lift will be enclosed in the new addition. So when we get the new addition where people will gather and where the other additional activities will take place, the lift will be inside of that. It'll be an internal lift. Okay? This drawing is a visionary drawing. It's don't look at it and think this is going to be how it's going to be, because it's not. But this gives you a sense of where the columbarium could be, what this building here could look like. I've been saying, from the get-go, circular, and Ed's now got it as an ellipse, and, we've said green space around the labyrinth. He's now got it as tile. So, there's lots of negotiation and conversation yet to be had. We've always said something about, water feature outside. Now, whether it'll have this shape, probably not. There'll be ramping, there'll be hardscape so that you'll be able to move, back and forth between the spaces. But whether it'll take this shape, probably not. But that's an idea. We're still in conversation, still working it through. But the fact that we have the columbarium, the labyrinth, the new addition, the outdoor feature, the church house, the baptistry, all of those pieces are involved in that one. Think of it as one thing. It's all one pieces of one puzzle. Now, the other thing I need to tell you is that because of the church house, because us getting close to being able to renovate the church house, it means that I had to go down to the bishop. I had to tell him what we were doing, because you have to get permission from the bishop to make changes to your property. And some people said, just go ahead and do it. And I can't operate that way. So I went to the bishop, and I took all these beautiful things. I took our original drawing that David did, took all the things, and I said, this is what we're going to do. And I said, Bishop, we have to have an Episcopal presence in this part of Chester County. We have to. If we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. We have to have an inclusive, open community. And I started laying out the pieces just like I did to you. Showed him the house first. He said, why are you only going to do 2 units? And I said, because if we do 4, then we have to tear out everything. We have to put in sprinkles. He said, oh, okay, I understand. Don't go. No, you can't do that. You can't have that expense. He loved the house. He said, you're doing exactly what I've told parishes to do. I'm going, okay. And then I showed him the next thing. And then I talked about the new building. He said, you should be doing that. People should be able to come into your parish. It should be open. People should be invited. Then I showed him the next thing. We got to the end of it. He said, you're doing exactly what I've been telling parishes to do. He said, I have your back. I'm going, oh, okay. And then he brought the canons to the ordinary in, and he said, you two are responsible for getting this project through all of the diocesan procedures. You get it through. She's not going to have to get it through. You get it through. I'm going, okay. And he said, and I don't want any delays. I'm going, okay. And he said, and she's not having to deal with any of the committees. You're doing it. I'm going, okay. Okay. And I stood up and he said, and I mean it, you're to do it. And he said, and I have your back. So I said, okay. And I got up to leave and he said, move forward. So I don't know of a clearer direction. Okay? Now, the last piece is this is going to cost a gazillion dollars. Okay? A gazillion, a bazillion, what's bigger than a bazillion, gazillion, gazillion, blah, blah, blah. It's going to cost a tremendous amount of money to do all of it. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get grant money for the church house. We should be able to, because we were told with housing, there's grant money out there. Now, with the way things are turning, I don't know whether that's still true or not. But we're going to continue to try. There's a fair grant that's open in the fall, like in August. And we're meeting with a couple of other people that know about grants and have access to it. I'm taking a grant course in April about faith-based grants, and we have access to a faith-based grant writer. So that's going to help us. And then what we need is a person that has a lot of money that's going to be willing to see the vision and embrace it and give and fund it. So you need to start praying, and we need to start looking for those people. And it can't be just me, and it can't be Mary, and it can't be Deborah, and it can't be David. It's got to be all of us. You know, looking and praying and trusting that God is going to, if God wants this, God's got to do it. It's not up to us. I really believe God's called us to this. This is not my project. It's not my vision. It's my thinking about it. It's not David's by himself. It's not the project committee. It's God really calling us. And what it's for is to make sure that this parish can exist beyond 2026, 2030, 2050. It can exist into the future. And that it's going to continue to draw people here. And that once I'm dead and you have to hire a new rector, that there's going to be a rector who wants to come here because of all of the things that they see you doing in ministry. That's my goal. I mean, that really is my goal, is to provide you with a foundation for somebody who wants to be here to serve you. Any questions?
I just have a question. Is the church is known not to have parking? We are one of the few that have parking. Do we have the ability to expand parking if needed?
Talk to David.
We don't know. There's a formula in the borough ordinances that says for each person, for every 4 people in here, you need 1 out there. So we've got theoretically a lot with, I want to say 54 spaces or something out there. But if, for example, we were to have the Chester County organization that had 130 people here, we'd have a problem. And I've had some conversations with Sycamore Garden, but they're looking to turn the space between that driveway right out here and the houses into a lawn to meadow also. So once you do that, you can't pull cars on it. So that's why I say we don't know. Right now, the space that we do have is right there. So, and anytime you're dealing with grass spaces, you're dealing with weather, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got a person on the committee that's cognizant and vocal about it. That's John Vavla. He's, from the beginning, said we need to consider parking, and we do.
Oh, I'm good. Oh, gotcha. Has the property committee considered going with the Chester County Housing Authority or the DCD with grants and things of that nature?
Yes. The Housing Authority, Ken Hutton originally said to us a couple of years ago that he had money for us, and we've contacted him and have an appointment. So yes, and then the fair is the other grant that's open and available. The Fair Housing Association. So those are 2 grants that we're pursuing. And if you know of any others, please funnel them to us. Mary Clark, Deborah, and I are the grant committee. We're working on the grants. But it takes forever to seek and find them, and it takes forever to write and follow up.
My work works very closely with them, so I'll see what I can do.
Okay. And if you find out deadlines of things, that would be very. Has this been helpful? Nothing else? The other thing that David says all the time is, if you have a question, if you have a concern, if you have anything at all, bring it to me, bring it to David, bring it to one of the members of the project committee. We need to hear, because it's only through your good ideas or your questions that we get spurred into acting in ways that are only going to make things better. David?
I would also make a plea that, for example, if we have any recent retirees that would like to join the project committee, we'd be more than happy to talk to them.
I know somebody who retired on Friday.
Like just this weekend?
And I would be happy to appoint them. It's a fun committee. It really is. There's a lot of creativity in that group.
Well, if you need
Okay, you're appointed.
Thank you, Bill.
Anything else?
Can I do a selfish plug of a few things, just like a minute or
Yes,
two?
absolutely.
Just a reminder, Charlie Zom's going to be here twice in May. First time is through Friends Folk. The second time is the second annual Celtic Dinner tribute to King Charles I. Please buy your tickets. We have it on sale now. The link is out there. I heard it wasn't on the website, so we got to get it on the website somehow, because they were asking for it to one of the parishioners. It's in Facebook, but I don't think they probably don't use Facebook. They just go to the website. Okay, yes, okay.
And we need to create a.
QR code.
Flyer is created. It hasn't been finalized, but it's,
Okay,
Yep.
excellent.
yep. And the other thing is we have a parish picnic coming up. Don't forget that. More will come out about that. And the last thing is the yard sale scheduled in June 21st. I have stuff in my van that I'm going to drop off. So please donate anything you want to donate for the annual yard sale. I'd appreciate it. It helps us with inventory, and it's going to be easy for us. We're just going to have tables, asking for donations, people coming through, and we're going to have tables out there for people to rent too as well. That's it.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Then, Mary?
I will be brief. Pastor Marianne mentioned in her sermon today that we need to rejoice together. And we amazingly balanced our budget, actually had excess for 2024. And the budget for 2025 is also balanced with excess. So yay you! All the numbers are in your packet. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. It's not worth going through it line by line, in my opinion. So if you have questions, let me know. But yay you, thank you. And we love Pastor Marianne.
Okay. All right. We are ready. If there's no other comments, business, we're ready to close the meeting. Are there any intercessory prayers that you would like to lift up? Let's pray for all of our parishioners who are sick. Let us pray in thanksgiving for this wonderful parish, for every single person who is here, and for the phenomenal vestry who has been elected today. Let's pray the prayer that Jesus taught us. Our Father, in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive. This meeting is now adjourned. I love you guys. Good job. Okay. I'm so glad. Oh. Huh?
Who's going to yell at me? What do we have to?